Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Experience Kills. This is episode 22 of our weekly extravaganza about games and life and sometimes a little bit of politics that doesn't always go down that well, but mostly games. And I am your host, Ben, and joined with me today we have the forever present Rob.
Hello, I'm always here. I still feel like part of a piece of furniture.
Whether we like it or not.
Rob goes up every week. It's like, since I gave him my Discord handle, he's just always there. It's just like there's no escape. And then, as you may have just heard, our bi-weekly participant and co-founder of Experience Kills, Richard, is with us.
Now, is it though? Is it bi-weekly? Does that mean twice a week, or does it mean every 2 weeks?
Fortnightly.
Fortnightly, yeah. That question you bring up is actually one I've had to deal with before in a work capacity, and that's quite an amusing one to have to handle. It's just like, well, what would you like it to mean? So, yeah, it's quite an odd one, that. But I'm going to go with every 2 weeks. That's my choice on that one. So bi-weekly. How are you guys doing? Did you guys watch the first episode of Falcon Winter Soldier?
Yes.
Oh shit! Is that out now? When did that come out? Yesterday.
Yes.
No, I haven't seen it yet. I'll have to watch that today. So
without spoilers, Rob.
Ruined that segment of the show.
Without spoilers, what do we think?
Yeah, it's alright.
I wasn't blown away.
Yeah, it's alright.
Brilliant.
I wasn't blown away. I mean, it's like had a really cool action sequence, which is like basically a video game, and it was almost too video gamey. I thought part of that sequence. There was very little grounding in it. See what I'm saying there, Rob? Without spoilers. However, I was expecting them to be like together. I mean, I don't know how to talk about spoiling it, but they weren't for the whole episode. So
it's almost like there's some sort of story that needs to take place here, Ben. So, yeah, like we didn't get like all the WandaVision stuff until, closer toward the end.
I think the difference there is that WandaVision started out with such a weird premise that you were kind of hooked immediately by the weirdness, whereas this is very conventional modern MCU. So therefore, you kind of hold it to a different standard almost. Like you expect certain things and it to do certain things, and it did some of them, and it was great to see there was a particular villain, without spoiler, in that opening sequence, which is a callback to a previous movie, which was really cool. I really like that character, and he's an underserved comic book character, and he's really good fun, and he's going to be around, and that's awesome. But sort of like the end of the episode was pretty momentous, again tying into big comic book plotting. So I'm looking forward to see where they go with it. I just really want to get them together because I think in the movies their friction, their little back and forth, that good cop, bad cop, that buddy cop vibe is really, really compelling. So I'm really looking forward to them coming together and actually being able to really bring that out. Yeah, really good.
I guess that's why it has to start that way, right? I've only seen the trailer, but yeah, that's all about how they are sort of partners, but almost they don't want to be. So yeah, I guess they've got to start apart for that to emerge and grow.
The humanitarian side of Bucky was quite interesting to see, because obviously he has escaped more and more from the Hydra programming, and you can tell there's a lot of complex feelings going on for him.
It's really hard not to talk about spoilers, but I thought that was that's really hard to do stuff with Bucky, because if you think about it, we've not really got much character from him ever in the MCU, right? If you think even all the way back to the first Avenger. So now to actually try and make him a three-dimensional character, and they do stuff with Sam as well to give him kind of more connection to, like you said, humanity and reality, and ground that. And that's the beauty of a TV show, isn't it? Long-form storytelling. You have that time to do that. So I'm really excited to see where they take that, how it develops. What's going on with the villains, what's going on with this new faction. There's definitely, I'm hooked in, and I want to see. And there's only 6 episodes, so we're going to have a conclusion to this by like the end of April, aren't we? So that's pretty cool.
I'm curious where Zemo is going to go into it, because he's on the cast list.
Yes, and he's in the trailer. He's in the trailer.
Yeah, and he's on the trailer as well. So he's in there. We just don't know where.
Purple sock for the win. That's all I kind of watched. I've started watching Drive to Survive season 3 in preparation for the new season of Formula 1, but I'll leave it at that because I know I'm talking to 2 people that don't give a crap, so that's fine. What about you guys before we get into the gaming news? Anything else?
Lucifer.
On Netflix, there's a new horror movie out called The Block Island Sound, and I thought it was fantastic.
What's that? I've not heard of that at all. Block Island Sound.
Yeah, so on Block Island, there is a sound like a bay, and it's about weird things that happen near that.
Okay, all right.
And,
like
I don't want to get too spoilery about it.
I'm
just
never
went
going to
in
watch
blind.
it, so that's fine.
no, I will. That sounds cool.
For anyone that is into horror that has a good like a cool resolution at the end, you think, oh wow, that's cool. That's what it was about. You don't normally get that with horror films.
No, the final act usually is the bit that falls apart. So
yeah, exactly. So I thought it tied in really well at the end. I'm not going to tell you any more about what it is.
I'll watch that.
Other than to say it wraps up really well, and it's one of those horror films that shows you absolutely nothing and is all the better for it. Very good.
As a massive fan of Blair Witch, I'm in. What about you?
I've been watching 2 things this week. Lucifer, because I've never watched Lucifer before, and I've started season 1 on Amazon Prime. Great. Absolutely great. Really enjoying it. The second one came out Thursday night. Justice League Snyder Cut. Oh, that's a good film. You have to settle in. Yeah, it's really good. Snyder did amazing things with it. It makes the version we got from Joss Whedon look like a pile of shite.
Well, I mean, it already did look like a pile of shite, didn't it? It was terrible.
It makes it look worse.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, so in preparation, talking to you, you've got me hyped. And so I went and watched Batman vs. Superman, the Ultimate Edition, with the extra 30 minutes. That's a much better film for that cut. It gives a lot of context that wasn't there. And I did some looking into it, and it was like, I pretty much forgotten the finer points of that film originally at that point. I'd only seen it once, but then I was doing some reading about the changes, and I was like, holy crap, how did they not have this in the main release? Because whole scenes would have made no sense. Like, and it was a lot about Lex's motivations and Lex's kind of machinations that brought Superman and Batman together, and I was like, I can't believe this wasn't there. But then, so I watched that, and then I've started watching, finished the first part, because it's in 4 parts, isn't it? Of the new Justice League. 5 parts, is it? Wow. Okay. So I watched the first part. Jesus Christ, 5 or 6. And I am watching the clock and like, Christ, 4 hours of film. Okay. But I like the fact that there's parts, because it's like you can just stop and be like, I'm going to have a break. I'll come back. Which is really nice. And so far, the weird aspect ratio is still a little bit jarring, but I'm kind of accepted it. You do feel like you can see more vertically. It's really interesting that. Yeah.
I think it's something to do with the reshoot footage and cutting room floor footage.
So the whole film was originally shot for IMAX. So Snyder's vision was IMAX, and IMAX, that's that resolution, right? So he's now like, I'm not going to compromise it, because basically they've given me a blank check and said, do whatever you like to keep your vision, and he's therefore showing it in this resolution because it was an IMAX presentation. So yeah, I think that's fascinating, and it does take some getting used to, but then you kind of do realize that he has shot it with the verticality of that resolution in mind. So it does make sense.
There's loads of films shot for IMAX, but you don't have letterboxing on the home releases.
No,
for it.
This is correct, and this is purely because he is an auteur, and this is his vision of what the film should be, Richard. Which basically means Warner have treated him like George R.R. Martin with no editorial control, and said, yeah, I guess the fans wanted this, so let them have it.
But now Warner Brothers have realised that, delving and meddling too much in films can cause problems, because they meddle too much in BVS, and then the extra cut was better.
But there is a middle ground.
There is a middle ground, yes. But they were too focused on catching up with Marvel. Yeah, they wanted to be what Marvel did. Snyder wanted to do a Batman movie, an Aquaman movie, a Wonder Woman movie, all before we got to Justice League. But no, they said, no, catch up, do it now, do it first.
Yeah, that's big. There's loads of issues. I was talking to you about this, about how you watch Wonder Woman in BVS, and it's just so confusing because she's nothing like her character in Wonder Woman. And it's just like, this is very odd that you have this broken ordering. But anyway, that's the comic book, movie, and TV show segment of the show. Let's get into games. We've got some news to talk about, and then we've got our Game Pass topic, which, heads up, 2 weeks ago, Rob made a choice, which then proceeded to get pulled from Game Pass in the intervening sort of 2 weeks, at a point where me and Rob hadn't actually had a chance to go back to it, which was Bloodstained: Curse of the Night. I believe that was the name of the game. That was purely from memory. And that got pulled, so we've had a new pick, which is Doom 1993, which we've all played, and it's actually my most played video game of all time, so I've completed it probably 15 times. So yeah, we're going to have a really interesting discussion. Rob's never played it before. I can't wait to get to that, so be ready for that discussion.
that kind of turned the tables on why I thought we were doing this, because surely everyone has played Doom. Everyone owns it at least 3 times.
I picked
No.
Doom out of sheer frustration, the fact that my first choice had been removed. I couldn't find another game that
you've never tried it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really... I mean, like Richard, I assumed everyone had played this game, but I was wrong. So this is going to be an interesting chat about that. But first, the news. And let's kind of start off with some Xbox-related stories. First of all, the big new game, which has had a demo come out, which is coming from People Can Fly, which is Outriders, the big new sort of shared world shooter, 3-person Destiny/Gears of War game, which has had middling talk about it around the demo. And I've still not played it. And now with this news, I'm not going to play the demo. I'm just going to wait. But it's coming to Game Pass on April 1st, on day of release, immediately, if you're a subscriber to Game Pass. I mean, that's pretty amazing, isn't it?
On April 1st? Are we sure it's coming on April 1st?
I believe you have to make the joke on April 1st for it to be an April Fool's joke. If it's a joke about April 1st, then you should fuck off. So if Microsoft have done that, they can do one. Like, I'm pretty sure it's really happening, yeah. I mean, I could be wrong. Imagine that. Oh, my word.
All the people that cancelled their pre-orders because it's been released on Game Pass, suddenly they have to reinstate them.
It's like, there was a story on Kotaku, PSA, cancel your pre-order of Outriders now. And it was just like, right? Somebody might still want to buy it. They might, you don't know. Calm down. Like,
Panic headline much.
Chill out. Yeah, like that's clickbait right there. But it was, that's really cool. What another huge get for Game Pass, day 1 release, third party. They've done the deals, and it's coming out, as part of your subscription. And that's that value that you get not just from the, the Xbox games, the Microsoft games, but actually from third party being day and date. That's what really sets Game Pass about. I think that's what makes it this marquee service. That's very cool. Just very cool. That was kind of all I've got to say about that. I want to let everybody know. I'm excited. I'm going to definitely check it out now. What about you guys?
I am going to try it. It's got to be hurting Sony, that. Because I was looking at it in the PlayStation Store. For anyone that doesn't know, I've got a PlayStation 5 now. But I haven't bought a game on it yet. So I was looking through the store thinking, right, what is going to be my first legit PS5 game other than Astro's Playroom, which I get with the console? And Outriders was on the list. And now it's not. So, long story short, I'm not going to be buying that.
I mean, let's be honest though, considering how hard it's been for people to get consoles, I can't imagine there are many with both a Series X and a PS5 like you, Richard. So I mean that you're probably in a very small Venn diagram of overlap. So of potentially lost business with both covered. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's not just people that own the console. As you say, there's a small number of people that have either one relatively. So when people are making their purchase decisions, and stock is becoming more and more available now. I noticed that the scalper prices for PS5s has dive bombed.
Good.
They're only going for about 500 quid now.
That's good to know.
So that's starting to get to normal levels where human beings can buy them instead of bots. So once people are in a position to buy a console and you get this sort of disparity, day 1 60 quid or day 1 nothing, just as part of your subscription, which you naturally should have anyway if you're on Xbox. It's just madness that you wouldn't have Game Pass if you had an Xbox. It's a really attractive proposition now. Almost too attractive. There's just so much stuff to keep up with on Game Pass. It's ridiculous.
So let's talk about that, because we've got a couple of roll-on stories from that, which is, loads more games. Oh, sorry, go on, Rob.
Yeah.
Go on.
I do have one quick question.
Yes.
Is Outriders exclusive to Series X and 5 level, though?
No, I don't believe so.
Or is it still for the Xbox One and PS4?
No, I think it's across.
Yeah, if it's cross-platform like that, then that's not quite as impactful when it comes to having a PS5 or getting it for the Series X, because the vast majority of the gamers who don't have either one of the next-gen consoles will just play it on their previous gens.
They will, but you know what video games are like. We all feel like we're missing out, don't we, if we don't have the best version. And we're starting to get into the realms now of cross-format releases where it doesn't feel just like an up-resed old-gen game. Outriders looks pretty new.
Yeah.
It looks like it's a next-gen release. So even though you can play it on the old ones, that's not really where people will want to be.
I think for us, that's definitely the case. And for our audience, that will be definitely the case. There are, however, There are, however, gamers that are far less obsessed with newest, latest, best, with you know, making the most out of that. They just want to play it, you know. And on a console, the whole idea of a console is that you can just put the game in and just play it, right? So you don't really think about the how it could be improved on another platform. So this kind of links me in.
Yeah.
So there's a story here that it's all kind of connected here. So obviously I've got a new gaming rig, so I'm now looking a lot more at PC games as well. And this game Outriders is not it's not coming to PC as part of Game Pass. It's just on consoles and cloud. So that's, first of all, that's kind of curious. I believe that might have something to do with it. I want to say Outriders might be an Epic Store PC exclusive. I could be wrong, but I feel like there could be a deal in there. I'd have to double check. But so that means we now have this interesting thing with Game Pass announcements where you have 3 verticals that these come out on: console, PC, and streaming. Right? So you get these announcements where it's like, right now I'm looking at this list of games that are just about to hit, and you've got like Undertale has just come to cloud, console, and PC, for example. First time on Xbox, Undertale. Can you believe that? I can't believe it's taken this many years. But that is an incredibly interesting, different type of little RPG, which this indie masterpiece that won a lot of awards a few years ago. And that's coming. And then we've also got the EA Play games, which are obviously available already on console, but they're now hit PC as well. So they've massively increased. So with Bethesda and EA on the PC platform, now Game Pass has got a huge library of titles that are available through that subscription, which is really compelling. So I was going through that and I like checking out some of those as well. So there's loads of cool games that I maybe wouldn't have checked out from that area, which is one of the games I'm going to be talking about later on in the show. And then in addition, another big release that stood out for me, which is coming to console, cloud, and PC in Game Pass, is Empire of Sin. The reason that's an interesting one for me is that's the first proper released game from Romero Games. So John Romero, creator of Doom. This is his studio, Empire of Sin, and it's kind of like an XCOM management-y type game set in the Prohibition era in America. Gangsters and Al Capone and other kind of gang bosses, and you like dealing with them and fighting them, and trying to take over the racketeering in the city. Couldn't really be much more different to Doom. However, I also really like those types of games, and I was looking at that release going, didn't get the greatest reviews. I kind of put it on my wish list, like backburnered it, but now it's in Game Pass, so I'm definitely going to play that, and I'm going to play that on PC, because that kind of game is best played on a PC, top-down XCOM style game. That's not really necessarily what I'd call a console game. So yeah, there's just so many options and so many games. Octopath Traveler coming to Xbox and Game Pass at the end of this month as well. I think this week that we're approaching. So it was probably the best JRPG of the last 10 years. And an absolutely fantastic game from Square Enix and stuff. Incredible visuals with this 2D pixel art. Absolutely fantastic active time battle system as well. Like there's just so many games and so much choice in Game Pass now that it's not just obscure. I mean, I remember this. People used to complain back in the early days. Oh, it's just indie stuff. It's just little crap that nobody cares about. It really isn't anymore. Look at Outriders. Look at Star Wars Squadrons from EA. Look at Empire of Sin, this big game from Romero Games. You've got these big releases. That are now spread right across platforms and genres and interests. It's fantastic.
That's the big difference, is that it's new stuff. Because going back to the early days of Game Pass, it was a lot of indie stuff, but more than that, for the likes of you and me, the bigger stuff, it was things that we'd already bought long before. So for us, the value proposition is in those new releases. And God, there's lots of them, isn't there? They just keep coming.
So I'm waiting now for the announcement of Ubisoft. Right, so Ubisoft has their own sub platform now, where you can I think it's Connect, Ubisoft Connect. I think they rebranded it, didn't they? And you can pay a monthly fee, and you can get to play a lot of their big releases at launch if you play in the premium level of it and stuff. And that's basically Game Pass. They must be talking to them because they've got EA on this now. They've got Bethesda because they bought the bloody studio. There must be discussions to get that Ubisoft offer onto their consoles as well. And then they basically wrapped up, 3/4 of the major publishers if they hit that as well. And as part of this, it's literally, the goal was Netflix for gaming. They're very close to achieving that. Very close. And almost better than that.
At what point do they have a monopoly?
I mean, but they don't want a monopoly. They would be very happy for PlayStation to let them put this on their platform. Do you know what I mean? It's like if the PlayStation saw the right, we're like, yeah, sure. If we can still get those Bethesda games, and if what we've got to do is let you put Game Pass on PlayStation, I mean, that is a conversation they're having. So it's like the deals are being talked about. I don't know if it's the single console future people have predicted for a while, right? So let's break down those hardware walls and let's actually let people play games anywhere they want to play them on any platform. It's not a monopoly. Surely that's about giving people choice and freedom. It's the other way.
If Game Pass does go onto a Sony machine, then what they're doing is harming the sales of Xboxes.
But they don't care at that point because they're making incredible amounts of sub money. You know, it's not to them. Spencer said multiple times they're not obsessed with the hardware sales numbers. What it's about this new model. He sees this as the future. The idea that you will use an Xbox platform on every device to play your games. And you know, they're going to be bringing it to Windows, the Game Pass, very soon. That's coming out, I think, within the next few months. They're getting it onto iOS through the web interface. You know, they're getting around that. It's going to be on smart TVs. It's the streaming, coupled with the streaming tech, xCloud. It's going to be everywhere, probably by the end of the year. And it's like that's the goal.
Spencer either, is it? That's not just Phil Spencer. That's Microsoft's position. Is that they are a services company first and foremost.
Yeah, it's smart. It's not about console wars. Who cares anymore? But I think it's about the consoles are about giving people the best place to play, and that's really cool. And I'm down for that. The newest, latest, best crowd, us, our viewers. That's what we're about. But then there's a huge audience, like we just talked about, that aren't those gamers. So
could that be essentially the death of Xbox and the life of Game Pass? That they just won't manufacture the hardware anymore and go, yeah, that's fine. We're on Sony. We're on PlayStation. We don't care.
I think they will. I mean, if you look at what they do across Microsoft's hardware divisions, they have a really well-performing Surface division, don't they? So they produce those high-quality, aspirational devices, not the cheapest devices in the world, not the highest spec, but they're built to a specification that they're desirable. But the idea of that is not to sort of consume the market directly, but just to inspire other manufacturers to say, this is what we've produced, this is how you can show off Windows or whatever, and then other manufacturers do their versions of things, and that's where the growth in PC hardware is. So Microsoft are not looking to take over that market, they're looking to rejuvenate it and make sure it's rich for other manufacturers to come in. So the same could be true of Xboxes, couldn't it? We've seen consoles before where multiple manufacturers have been involved in console manufacture. 3DO had 3 or 4 different manufacturers. You had Panasonic.
You had GameCubes coming out from people that weren't Nintendo in Japan.
Yeah, exactly. So we've seen that before, and you could see that happening again with Xbox. That could be just what you call a games console, and it's made by different people.
I think that's brilliant. I mean, that's what I'm saying is, you look 10 years from now, maybe the idea of an Xbox and a PlayStation as a device has fallen off. Yeah, as a single device, because it's all about the internet, isn't it? It's about that internet infrastructure. Once we get to the point where everybody has fast, reliable internet, why do you need these local devices? So it's going to be a case of everything could be xCloud, everything could be streamable, and that's what Microsoft are clearly massively pushing, beta testing. We're being held back by the country's infrastructures, by their internet infrastructures, and that's the problem. And especially in the United States, we think we have it bad in the UK. It's way worse in the US, where they've got loads of areas which have terrible internet and very bad ISPs that take the advantage of overcharging for bandwidth use and stuff like that. So yeah, they're talking about monopolies. People like Comcast in the US, there's monopolies, whole thousands of square miles where you can't get a provider that isn't Comcast, for your internet. So I mean, like, there are bigger issues at play, but I think it's fascinating to see this model. We're watching Game Pass evolve in front of our eyes, and the offering and the aggressiveness, but also kind of like it is very consumer friendly as a model. If you actually drill into it, I'm very excited. It's always good to talk about as gamers. It makes us sound a bit biased because we talk about Xbox so much, but I think obviously I'm really looking forward to seeing Richard bring in that PlayStation 5 stuff as stuff develops. He's now got one. Hopefully I'll be able to get one sometime this year as well. But it's a case of it's hard to ignore how cool Game Pass is, and that's why we talk about it as much as we do. So, but here's some cool PlayStation news. There's a segue for you. They're not forgetting the gamers. They're definitely doing their bit. They're giving away a bunch of free games and some really good games. So this is part of their initiative to get people to stay at home. And this isn't PlayStation Plus. you can just turn on your PlayStation, and starting from, I think it was March 25, which is this week coming up, you'll be able to get hold of The Witness, Abzu, Subnautica, Enter the Gungeon, and Res Infinite for free. And then they're also going to make some VR games available as well: Astro Bot Rescue Mission, Moss Thumper, and Paper Beast. And then a bit later down the line, they're going to give away Horizon and its expansion pack as well. It's all to encourage people to stay home and not spread COVID. And that's fantastic. What a cool initiative.
There's no catch with this, is there? It's not PS Plus subscription required. It doesn't expire. You've got them for good.
Yep.
As far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Phenomenal, really. There's loads of good stuff in there.
Yeah. And this is interesting because we talk a lot about, don't we, the free games you get with Plus, the free games you get with Gold, all the free games you get on Game Pass. None of those are free. You pay for those. These are free. This is more like when Epic gives away games on the Epic Store. They give you that license. And that's it. That's on your library. That's yours. So that's badass that PlayStation's doing that. Especially when I know it's getting on a bit, and obviously Horizon's all about, by the way, there's a sequel coming very soon. But it's like, why not? I mean, it's a fantastic open world game. I might not have loved it as much as some people, but you can see the quality of it. Like, you play in that game, the craftsmanship in that is incredible. And that's an amazing game. Like a marquee AAA title from a few years ago. If you want get people to stay at home and play games, that game has got a lot of game in it. Like, there's a lot of time you could put into that game. So that's a really cool thing to offer. Have you played it, Rob?
It's actually on my list.
I've dabbled in it a little bit. I played to a point. I enjoyed it, and it then required me to herd a bunch of things in an area, and I got incredibly irritated and walked away from the game, and just have not gone back since. Yeah.
Richard, you played it?
I've played a few hours. It suffered for, I think we've talked about this before, but it came out at the same sort of time as Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And that totally, that enraptured me for a while. So, yeah, I need to go back. It's on my list. I am catching up on my PS4 backlog before I buy any PS5 games. And that's one of the main ones I need to do. So I'll be doing that soon.
Yeah,
that it becomes free after years of me having it. I got it at launch, and it's just been sat there waiting for me.
I'm not surprised, Richard. This is what we do. Generally we buy games at launch, don't play them, then they become free, and then we actually end up playing them, which is some kind of weird. I don't even know what you'd call that, like irony, but also serves you right. I don't know what that is. But no, I mean, for me, sorry,
it's a kind of philanthropy. We're supporting the devs.
I like that. Yes, okay, we'll go with that. For me, it was a case of I bounced off. I didn't love the combat. I didn't love the bow-focused combat. I got a bit frustrated with some of that and switching between ammo types and traps and stuff. I just got a bit, it pushed me off a bit. I prefer my open world games to be infinitely accessible and breakable, usually with microtransactions. Because I'm a monster.
Bloody microtransactions.
That's why I love you.
I could, spend more time in the game world, or I could pay 20 quid.
Just to win. Just to win. I just want to win. I always want to win, Rob. So let's keep on the Sony news train. This one's this is very niche, but also quite well known, but also kind of like, let's see how this plays out. Sony have acquired Evo. So they've kind of gone in partnership with another kind of like media company to purchase the rights and the whole shebang that is the Evo Championship, the big fighting game tournament that would happen every year, and it was always a big event, and it's kind of like this slightly niche thing within gaming, but it got to a point where I think a lot of people who weren't even into fighting games knew about this. And I used to watch some of it as well when it would stream and stuff, and they'd show it. And it was always fun to watch these incredibly high-level players play games that you'd played, but were never at that level. So like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Smash, and stuff like that. And you could watch them and like really appreciate the skill because you understood the game and you understood the mechanics. And that's been bought by Sony. And I don't know how I feel about that because it's always been fiercely independent, very much like in touch with the player base. Obviously, it's been a very tough. Like they had to cancel last year. They didn't do anything online. Sony are going to do a thing this year with an online version of this. Maybe it was run by this guy called the Cannon Brothers, and I think perhaps the responsibility, the financial pressures, it probably got too much. I'm guessing here, but so they've made a deal here. They've sold the whole shebang to Sony and this company that they're partnering with, and it's kind of sad though to lose it as an independent event. I wonder what it means for it.
I was thinking about this. I mean, you've got to think about why they would buy it in the first place to have any sort of guess of what they're going to do with it. Because the worry is that they make it a marketing tool for their own games, right?
It's all Tekken all the time.
Yeah, exactly. All Tekken, Smash Brothers is sidelined, and they use it to push their own sort of product. But I don't think there's much in it for them to do that. I think what they're getting by buying this is they become affiliated with legitimate hardcore gaming, right? And that's something they've defended their reputation on for a long time. They've said they are the place to go for players, and they've got a reputation of developing games that are really well produced, cost a lot of money to make, and other platform holders have shied away from. And I'm specifically looking at Microsoft. They don't like to shell out the cash for really well finessed single player experiences. They want games as a service, multiplayer stuff, and the rest of the things that Sony does really well, Microsoft don't do. So Sony have got that reputation. By getting involved in Evo, they're bringing that reputation to the multiplayer scene as well, aren't they? So
yeah,
I don't expect them to dabble too much into it and make it something else. They'll protect it for what it is.
So
they want to have it in their cap, like.
Yeah, but conspicuous by its absence. Listen to the lineup: Tekken 7 right at the top, Street Fighter 5 Championship Edition, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, and Guilty Gear Strive. Those are the games they will be playing at this online tournament this year. What's not there? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, no Smash Brothers, nothing that isn't available on a PlayStation console. Call me a cynic. Nintendo can be very funny about that stuff, but the problem is, when it was independent, you'd have had the Cannon Brothers doing deals and making that stuff happen. And I know in the past they had problems with getting Smash on this in this tournament. They had issues with Nintendo, but they usually worked it out. It's not going to be in the interest of Sony to make that happen if Nintendo aren't willing. You know what I mean? It's like they'll just not bother. So they're not even going to try. So that means a whole passionate fighting community is now no longer served at the world's best known fighting tournament. You know, so that's a shame, isn't it? That's a shame. And I'm guessing that could have nothing to do with it, but at the same time, it feels like, how can it not? So I don't know enough about this. I've watched some documentaries on Evo, and I've watched some of it live, and I'm kind of on the periphery, but I'm definitely not someone that would want to participate. I'm definitely not good enough for that. But the entry is going to be free in a bunch of territories for this event. You can sign up and you can get in there, and as it's online, there's obviously no capacity limit, which is nice. So it's not about, we can only do 100 people and stuff, because it's all going to be done fought online and stuff. So there's that. But then having a tournament like this online brings into question other aspects of latency and effectiveness when it's dealing with netcode and things like that. So I mean, I'm sure there are questions at play here. I feel like if Sony hadn't bought Evo, they'd never even consider doing it online. It just doesn't make sense for a tournament of this nature. So I'm going to be very curious to see how they handle all of that. So we'll be tuning in on the 6th to the 8th of August and the 13th to the 15th of August. I'll definitely be curious to see what this looks like. So who wants to hit them
online?
Sorry?
If it's online, that explains why Smash Brothers isn't involved.
Because it's Nintendo, yeah. I mean, how would you even... Yeah. So that kind of I mean, can you play the new Smash online? I don't even know. Can you?
You can, but I bet it doesn't work very well.
Fair enough. So, shall we touch upon the Square Enix presents? We don't have a huge amount from that. There's some... Obviously, they showed a bit more Outriders because they're publishing that. There's a 25th anniversary of Tomb Raider coming out. There's a mobile Just Cause game. Stop me if any of this really catches your interest, but not huge for me. Space Invaders is getting an AR game. Bubble Bobble 4 Friends is coming to Steam. Good! Yay! I was so excited about that. But the big news, they announced and they showed Black Panther is coming to the Marvel Avengers game. He was meant to be the first character. The terribly sad, awful passing of Chadwick Boseman happened. They did the right thing. They delayed it. No question there. The trailer for this looked pretty good. It looked cool. I mean, have you guys watched it?
I've seen a little bit of it. It does look pretty cool. Yeah. But I've not finished the main campaign on Avengers yet, so I need to do a bit of work on that.
And I think we'll come around and talk more Avengers in a week or so's time when me and Rob have had a chance to play the Series X enhancements and check out what's meant to be the very good Hawkeye DLC that came out recently as well. The other big news, though, is Life is Strange has got a new sequel called Life is Strange True Colors, starring, I think, a character called Alex Chen, which is, I don't know if it's the first lead Asian American character, but I don't think there's been many of them, if it's not. And she's going to be unraveling a mysterious death of her brother using an empathy-based psychic ability. Sounds very Life is Strange, no doubt about that. But that looks quite cool. But it's being developed by the sort of spin-off studio, the guys that did what's it called, Before the Storm, I want to say was the spin-off, which was a prequel, wasn't it? I never played it.
I played it.
Prequel.
Yeah, it's by Deck 9, and you played as Chloe, who was the friend of Max, the star of the original game, and it was kind of fine, but weird because it had to get over that difficulty of Max having a superpower, and then explaining why Chloe needed to have a game of her own without a superpower, and it ended up being this weird mishmash of ideas that didn't really kind of work. I can't remember what her power was. I think it was being moody or something. So yeah, it was odd.
That's questionable. Let's say questionable, because I'm not sure that's something that doesn't sound like great representation. But okay, cool. There's also the first two Life is Strange games are getting remastered, i.e. we want to cash in on the new generation of hardware. Which is like, you can't really argue with that, I suppose. Thinking about them, like, I don't see how they need a remaster. I really don't, but okay.
Because they need more money. That's why they need a remaster, man.
Sure.
Come on.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But let's tie this in. I want Rob to tackle the next story, and it is kind of related to B teams and spin-off development of a series and stuff like that. So tell us about the next story, Rob.
Gotham Knights, the eagerly anticipated next sort of Batman vague game has been delayed. It's now coming into us next year. I believe they cited COVID as the reason, pretty much. They want to give more time to make sure they're delivering the best possible experience, and they're just delaying it to 2022, which saddens me but jubilates Ben because he's not really looking forward to this game.
No, I wouldn't say jubilates. I just think, for me, it's a case of... I certainly wouldn't say I'm not happy about any game getting delayed, because I know people are anticipating it and excited about it. And I love hype, and I'm all about hype. And it's like, but this is what we talked about the last couple of weeks. We are going to see a lot of games, a lot more games this year slipping because of COVID. And I think it's going to be basically, there are no big games this year. I think we're going to get to that point where we might get a Battlefield purely because EA are going to throw all the money and the devs at it they can, because they have to hit this year for financial reasons. But like, other than that, for studios that don't have basically infinite resources, we are going to see games continuously slip out of this year. I was just thinking about that announcement about how they're delaying it to make the best game possible. Imagine if a studio came up, no, we're delaying it to next year. We all just want to take a holiday. It's been a really crap 18 months, so we're just going to chill. Is that all right? I mean, you'd be like, fair play, but they're never going to say that. You couldn't fault anybody for doing that at this time. It's like, we're just going to take 6 months off because life is hard. And
honestly, I'd respect that a hell of a lot more.
It's just a video game and you can fucking wait. Fair play. Respect, yeah, I'd respect that too. But look, the game to me, it looks a bit like what it is, which is a B-team spin-off, very much using that foundation of the last one, Arkham Knight. They're making co-op for it. When I saw the trailer when it was announced last year, it looked like it was basically ready. So I was quite surprised about this delay. Like, I was thinking this game I'm surprised it's not out already. You could surely just shovel co-op. Yeah, there's a switch, isn't there? I'm sure with game development, you just flick the switch, multiplayer enabled. I could have sworn that's how it worked, but no, that's the joke. That's what people think for some reason. Right? It's a joke. It's a joke. Calm down. But he's gonna bite my head off though, so he's ready. For me, I love the Court of Owls storyline. That storyline from Batman is fantastic. However, it's kind of all about Batman, so I'm kind of a bit weirded out by the idea that it's not with Batman. It's with the spin-off.
But there was a side storyline happening at the same time. I have the books literally.
Yeah,
there.
I've read them all. Yeah.
You've got the side story with the Bat family all trying to deal with the Talons going mad around Gotham and hunting people and all of that. So you have that angle that I think they're going to go at differently. I think they've gone down the route that Batman is dead or Batman is gone.
Dead. Yeah.
But that could easily be propaganda spread by the court because he's in their labyrinth, because he spent a while in the Court of Owls labyrinth going mad. So it could be that we will get him toward the end of the game.
Just FYI, in the Batverse, there's a character called Ra's al Ghul. He has something called a Lazarus Pit. It's basically you can bring anybody, any character can come back from the dead in Batman. Like, even if the character literally has his head cut off in front of you, they can bring him back. Even if the time travel, don't worry. Like, Batman ain't staying dead. It's just not.
Considering they're starting this off as Batman is gone, I would be very surprised if he doesn't come in toward the end of the game.
Batman's back!
Yeah,
we can all just sit back down again now. Cool. We're not needed. Batman's here. But look, delays suck. It's inevitable this year, and this is just, I wouldn't even say the first. There's been others already, but this is just going to continue. Yeah. But
speaking of delays,
sorry, Richard.
I just hope it turns out well, because I'm playing Arkham Knight now. That's another of my PS4 backlog games
for the first time.
No. I've done most of it before, but a lot of the end game stuff, I'd left it, so I'm just finishing it off now.
It's a good game,
and it got me thinking. I wonder if Gotham Knights is going to be any good, because it's by the guys that did Arkham Origins.
Yeah, the crappy spin-off. Yeah,
I never played that one.
Not
but
good.
Apparently everyone hated that, so yeah.
There's some good ideas in there and some good story stuff, but the actual kind of like game, not as great. No, not as good.
Speaking of delays, though, one game that I certainly hope doesn't get
This is
delayed,
very curious. Isn't it?
We have a rumour that Bethesda's Starfield is aiming to launch in 2021. So we could be seeing a reveal at E3, or the E3 digital event this year, and then could be out by year end.
Curious. I mean, that sounds on like paper as nuts, right? However, Bethesda do kind of have the MO of that. So short lead times from announcement to release of around a year to 18 months. That is something they try to do because they're aware of the damage long delays between announcement and release has. And I think a lot more people are actually aware of that. You've only got to look at the problems with Dying Light 2 right now, where they're trying to like assure people that the game isn't done or like destroyed or in development hell. It's just we announced too soon. And I think this could be really curious, and it's coming from a pretty reputable source who's got sort of history of, giving accurately. It's a guy called Jeff Grubb from VentureBeat, and he's a decent reporter that is not known for talking crap. But obviously, the caveat here is that COVID will more than likely affect that plan. So if they're shooting for the end of the year, it's much more likely that we're going to be looking at middle of next. Or even later, because they might want the end of year boost for sale, so it could push back to the end of 2022. But that does imply that it's much further along than any of us really anticipated it being. And now with the Microsoft acquisition, they might be doing what EA is doing, which is throwing resources at the project to try and make it happen.
Yeah.
Especially if you're looking at a year with very few releases, this could be huge. If they got Starfield out at the end of the year with very little competition, imagine what that would mean for sales. That could be an absolute, just barnstormer for them. But once again, guys, please don't release a game that isn't ready. We just saw with Cyberpunk last year how bad that can be. So with a game of this scope, and especially as it's Bethesda, so they're known for being pretty janky at launch, there's a level we will accept, and then there is a level we will not accept. So please don't release this, and if it's a complete clusterfuck, please don't. Because we don't need any more of that.
Either way, I'm sure we will do some coverage on Experience Kills when it does come out.
I know we won't talk about this. We don't care about huge releases from Bethesda. Yeah, I'm well excited. I can't wait. Cool little news story at the end here, which made me laugh when Richard was looking at show notes earlier. He had no idea this even existed, and this has been going on for many years. But there is a Video Game Hall of Fame, and the inductees this year have just been announced. And there are all the games here you can't deny their importance, their influence, and their quality. Like, these are all big games from their respective generation, their respective consoles, that had a massive effect on their genres, on the industry in some of the cases. Like, really, really cool. So we've got games like the original Guitar Hero, which created a genre, basically. You could argue that there were bongos on the Nintendo, which was a rhythm action game, but it didn't really take off in the same way as a Guitar Hero with a plastic guitar. That created, in my mind, the rhythm action musical peripheral genre, which I still participate in to this day with Rock Band 4. So I'm very, very agreeing that is going into the Hall of Fame. That makes total sense to me. StarCraft, like seminal RTS, that really became, really built Blizzard to the point where, they were this juggernaut, really set them on the right path. Huge game. Microsoft Flight Simulator, again, created a genre. The sim game, the flight sim game, right? So there may have been other attempts prior, but Microsoft Flight Simulator really set that genre on the direction that we still see today. We obviously had the incredible Microsoft Flight Simulator from last year, which I'm actually going to be getting downloaded off of Gamepass pretty soon and giving it a go. I've got my joystick ready. It's 150 gigs though, because it's slow. I need to at some point set aside the internet to let it do that.
Overnight would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I've got really good internet, but even then, that's going to take a while.
Just queue up before you go to bed, because you go to bed at like 8:30 in the evening, don't you, Ben?
I'm an old man, Rob. I mean, I am not denying any of that. I need my beauty sleep, mate. You don't stay this good without rest. I'm just saying, man. Okay, just Rob's eyes. Animal Crossing. Okay, the first Animal Crossing. Pretty big for the farming genre. We wouldn't have a Stardew Valley and etc. We wouldn't have Harvest Moon without the first Animal Crossing. I know Richard now probably respects that a lot more due to his love of the new ones. Portal, man. First person, fully immersive puzzle game. We didn't really have them before Portal, did we? If you think about it. Incredible pinnacle. Valve doing what Valve does very well, which is setting the bar for a new genre very, very high and making it very hard to surpass. So there are some incredible. There are others on here. Mattel's Football, Pole Position, again, racing games. Pole Position. I'm a massive racing game fan. Had a huge impact on that genre. Tron. Okay, Tron is a bit of a weird one because while I enjoyed Tron, I don't think of it necessarily as like the greatest game. I mean, I think of the film as fairly seminal, but not so much the game. And maybe it's because it's like the first good film adaptation. Maybe that's where... I think
it's kind of a crossover. It's where games punched their way out of
cross-media,
the game industry. It became like a cross-media thing, yeah.
Okay, no, all right. Yeah, that makes sense. I can see that now. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Now, not necessarily the biggest games in the UK, but in the US, that kind of edutainment crossover... bringing kids into games, but helping them engage their brains, very important for that one as well. So this is a cool thing. I love that they do this. I love that these games, it's not just the winning awards, it's not just the newest, the best games, like we get in the Game Awards, but this is like looking back through time and adding people, like you would like Hall of Fame for rock stars and musicians, and just acknowledging the importance of these titles and these creators, so they'll get that recognition, sometimes posthumously, over the amazing things that they created and the impact they've had on the industry. And I love that, and I love drawing attention to that. And I think, if we're going to move forward, we have to be aware of our history. The industry is getting, older every day, and we're getting to that point where we have those games where we should look back. And, you just put them on your list and be like, I need to check this out because this made, like a classic movie, this had direct impact on the things I love right now. So it's awesome. I think that's really cool. I mean, Rob, I'm curious. Like, we're about to get into this.
Oh, God.
What from this list are you aware of? Do you kind of have a connection with? Other ones I didn't mention, Call of Duty's on here, for example. Farmville. So not all ancient games, but, like, impactful games. So how about for stuff from this list, like
how many things have I played from this list?
Not necessarily what you've played or you're
aware
of.
Because I've played none of the things on this list.
None of them. Not any of them.
Not one.
You haven't played Portal?
No.
Hold on, you haven't played. Whoa. I'm gonna buy Rob a copy of Portal on Steam when we're finished. Okay.
I've got Portal.
Oh, wow. You have Portal, but you've not...
I have Portal, but I've never played it.
That's incredible.
I played Portal 2 on the Xbox with a friend. We did the 2-player campaign, and yeah.
Isn't the 2-player campaign like a separate campaign? Isn't that with the robots or something? So it's not even the main story...
No.
Mate, you need to play Portal. You need to play the story of Portal and Portal 2, and you need to do that. Like, have you played Half-Life 2? Have you played Half-Life?
What do you think, Ben?
No.
No.
At this point. Oh my lord. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Like films, you have some upsetting holes in your knowledge.
I think Ben is rethinking his friendship with me at this point.
Hold on, let me just check. Why is Rob on this podcast? Oh, that's right, because he's devastatingly handsome. So.
And apparently a lot younger than us.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem, isn't it? We're just really old now.
I think we are, Richard. Yeah,
we do fall into different age demographics, which means that some of these games I would not have immediately pursued. Like when I got a games console, when I was 13 was when I got my first games console. It was a slimline PS2. You know, so it's from that era onward where I was playing video games. Really,
I feel so old. Okay. Right, let's do it. Let's segue then. So, off the back of this story, perfectly goes into our Game Pass discussion, right? So, we played Doom 1993. That's right, not 2016, 1993. The original release from id Software, created by the seminal developers John Romero and John Carmack. There's some really good books about the whole process here. If you're interested, Master of Doom, I cannot recommend it enough. Well worth the read. I've read it multiple times. This game, just give you some history from my perspective, I've probably completed it about 15 times. It's one of my probably my all-time favorite game. So I am beyond familiar. I've written essays and articles about this game. I've delved deep. I've taken whole levels apart. I watched speedruns of this game. Rob has never played Doom 1993 before. Rob, the floor is yours.
It took me 10 minutes to get out the first room. Before I figured out and then reviewed the controls that there was a use function. It's like, okay, what can I use? Because I've just spammed every button at this door and it's not, well, I have to be in this specific place for this door to open. Okay, right now, here's some progress. But I did quite enjoy it. So I went through the first chapter, the like knee below the depths or whatever it is, last night.
Knee deep in the dead?
That's it, yeah. I quite enjoyed it. It was a bit of an adjustment not being able to look up and down.
Sure, yeah.
That was
weird, isn't it?
Big adjustment. Because I tend to be quite mobile in where I'm looking, especially in shooter games. I tend to be very, very mobile in observing my surroundings. Not having that, I found quite different. Almost on Rails-esque, that sort of thing, because you had a fixed view. I enjoyed it. The weapons felt different. I managed to collect the pistol, the shotgun, the rocket launcher, and the chain gun or minigun. They all felt significantly different and significantly powerful in their own ways. The map design was pretty good. The inability to move the mini-map without you moving inside it annoyed me a little bit. Because when I was stuck trying to find where the fuck I get back to get to the blue door, because I've got the card key for it, trying to find that on the map proved to be a little bit irritating.
I don't think you'll ever complain about a map in a modern game again, will you? I mean, after that map. I mean, that map is one of the hardest to understand maps I've ever... Even now, I look back at that map.
Understanding the map I found relatively easy. It was the fact I had to go, okay, well, it's not up here, so I need to go over... Let's go in that random direction. Okay, I'm seeing this portion of the map now. But it's of that age where I can't really complain too much about that fact, because... it's from 1993. This was kind of one of the proto-shooters. It was one of the first ones. So I can't really complain that they got something that we now take for granted wrong. I can't really complain about that. The infinite range on guns was quite interesting. Super shotgunning someone from across another 2 rooms and them dying. That was interesting. I did very much get a Butcher from The Boys line pop into my head at one point, where you had one of the enemies that it's on all fours and it runs around, and you get invisible ones appear.
Yeah, pinkies, yeah.
Yeah, it was very much Butch saying, well, if it ain't the invisible... Yeah, I'm going to cut that word off. So that might be slightly over community guidelines. That very much popped into my head. But I did enjoy it. I think it also made me realise a better playstyle for the modern Doom games, because I tend to be quite a conservative, defensive player when I'm playing shooter games, as Ben can probably attest, because we play so much Destiny together. I'm rarely mad and just rush everywhere when I'm playing Destiny, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having that playstyle encouraged, and the more you do it in Doom, the better everything goes. It sort of has solidified that for me, because I really want to go back to Doom Eternal. That's probably the better way to do it, rather than it being told on a screen, this is how you should do it. I have a snapshot of that heritage almost. One thing that I did not expect to be thinking was, I'll go back and play more chapters of it, which I may actually very well do.
Yeah.
I did actually quite enjoy it.
It's really Moorish, isn't it? I mean, I think the level design is, and that, like you mentioned, the variety in the guns is what makes it so compelling, and then obviously the different makeups of the enemies and the challenges that those give. But yeah, the levels, you'll get to certain levels and you'll just be tearing your hair out. But thankfully, it's from 1993, so there will be a few guides available. Just a couple, I'd imagine, though. So you can easily do that to get past the tricky bits. But no, it's fiendish. What difficulty did you play on?
Their equivalent of normal.
Right, and that's good. It's a good place to start. Absolutely, I'd say one step up is kind of the sweet spot in difficulty. I can't remember exactly what it's called. It might be Hurt Me Plenty or something.
They have different names.
Yeah, it's not clear, is it? It's like a really weird. It's so strange because so much of that I just take for granted. Like what you said about opening the doors. It's like there's a whole thing where the game prior to that was Wolfenstein 3D, which they made, and there was a whole thing where you just like walk around pushing against walls, right, hitting A or the equivalent on the PC just to find secret rooms. So you just go around just like walking against walls, trying to open doors that you didn't know were there, because there's loads of secrets in these games.
I did find a few secrets, like secret rooms and stuff like that. I did see the chainsaw at one point, but could never figure out how to get back to it.
They do stuff like that a lot, yeah. It's great. Yeah.
So it was really good. The one thing is that you couldn't look down, because there was one bit where it's like you go into the space and you go round an open pit that has like radiation at the bottom.
Yeah.
I saw on the way back that there is a way that you just drop down in front of you, turn around, press a button, and then it raises the floor up. And then it's a bigger thing. But another thing that surprised me is when you die, you lose all your weapons.
Yes.
That took me by surprise, considering I died to a boss and lost my rocket launcher. I was very sad.
Yeah.
Those dual saving though. So
sorry,
this is one of the first games where you could just do instant quick saves.
I hadn't even gone down that route.
Just do that.
But the boss fight against the Taurus demons, that I think that was as far as I got. That I bashed my head against a wall for at least half an hour on.
So you finished the first chapter then? That's the end of the first.
Taurus demons. Do you mean must be what, Barons of Hell?
Barons of Hell.
Barons of Hell, yeah. I didn't realise that the red on the floor was walkable.
Yeah.
So I was trying to kite them round that tiny little paving area.
Star, isn't
it? With a minigun going, ah!
Yeah.
And then I read on the online, because I thought there must be a trick to this. What the fuck am I missing? So, I can walk on the red bit. Well, this became a piece of piss. And I did it on the next run.
Circle strafe all around them, and just like they can't hit you for shit, yeah. I'm quite impressed you did as much as you did. I'm really happy you enjoyed it. I'm like, that to me proves how good this game is. That you can, someone in 2021 can still play Doom 93 and be like, this is a good game. So it's not just nostalgia. It's not just the fact that I've played it since 1993, pretty much non-stop. And therefore I just have this connection to it. This is a good game. This is inherently a well-designed, well-made game with great guns, great enemies. What do you think of the music? I pointed out to you to like listen to some of the music and stuff. What did you think of the music?
I did actually play it with headphones, because I played it at my desk, but I remembered what you said about like side noise being incredibly important in the game.
Enemies,
yeah. Some of it got a little bit repetitive. That wore me down a little bit, but again, this is from 1993. That's forgivable. It was all right. Yeah, No complaints, but no massive kind of oh my gods either.
I love that MIDI soundtrack with the that I just the best. Just the best. Takes me back every time. So for me, what I did when I was playing this is I checked out some of the mods because it's mod supported on this new version that's available on Game Pass. Obviously, there's a lot more mods on PC. You can just download an old WAD file from various sources and do all kinds of things to it, like the Brutal Doom mod. But these mods, specifically, they're like limited to. There's about 10 of them on there now. They've actually been adding to them, which is really cool. And these are mostly TCs, so they're like loads of extra levels. Various themes. There's even one which is like a complete like fantasy remake of the game, so it's all like set in like Norse mythology with the bows and arrows and like skeletons instead of like demons, and like complete redo of it. And that's on the game on Xbox as well. So I've been playing some of those and just trying some different maps, and seeing how people have like, up to like as recently as like a couple of years ago, making these new levels and still using Doom as this foundation, and how they can get different stuff out of this relatively limited engine. Obviously, like you mentioned, not being able to look up and down. And it's incredible the creativity that people still are using, to implement these changes and stuff in the game. And they're fantastic. Like I couldn't tell. I played the Romero one that he did for the anniversary sigil, which is really hard, kind of like an epilogue end game, challenging extra levels. And then there's some others on there as well. And I just think that's really cool that they're available on console. I mean, the fact is that this is on Game Pass, but even if it isn't, before it came to Game Pass, I purchased them, Doom 1, Doom 2, and Doom 3 when they got re-released. They're all like $5, something like that, £5-6. They're very, very cheap. And I just like, I've got them on my Switch. I love being able to play some classic Doom 1 and 2 on the go on my Switch. So I'll play these games forever, anywhere I can. I love that. Not being able to look them down, man. That is the weirdest thing looking back. Like, it didn't go on for much longer. Those restrictions, we got Quake, and that has full 3D looking, for example, from id. But yeah, I mean, I love the whole, you have to line up a shot when there's an imp up on a ledge up here, and you're looking at the wall, and yet you shoot him. It's like the bullets just magically go up or down depending on the hit scan and where you're lined up. I just think it's so weird, but like charming at the same time. I kind of love it. Or more like when you fire a rocket and you just watch it go straight up. Like, what's it doing? It's so weird. But no, I absolutely. What about you, Richard? How did you tackle this for Game Pass for Club? How did you have a look?
I've played this a lot over the years. I think the first version I played was on the Atari Jaguar, which didn't have the music. So for me, having the music in there is just weird.
Really?
This isn't the first time.
Music is so important in this game.
I've heard the music because I've bought various versions. I had it on PlayStation. I think I've had, I don't know, maybe must have had 2 or 3 different versions of it since then over the years. Never liked the music. That's the one thing that I really don't get about Doom. I always try and turn that off. But the game itself, even from someone who's played it loads and loads of times, there's still stuff there that draws you back. I think the level design we haven't talked enough about, because that is so clever.
Yeah.
What you're saying about not being able to look up and down, I think that's tied into the level design, because if you notice, nothing overlaps. You can't go upstairs over another area. Everything is essentially one plane. So if you're going up a lift, that means the floor has raised for you, but there's nothing else underneath that. Enemies can't get underneath. You can't go under that. Everything is basically one level. It just undulates a bit. And within that restriction, the level design is so well done, because you can rush through these levels in a minute, 2 minutes.
Oh, very quick, some of them, yeah.
You could also spend 40 minutes exploring, trying to find the secrets. And it's fun to do that. So how they've managed to get that balance, it's kind of Nintendo level quality there, where there's something for every level of patience, and it just constantly rewards your attention, even years on. It's very good.
It's truly amazing. Yeah, go on.
I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. I thought, this is a very old game. I'm not going to enjoy this. This is, I'll play it, see what happens. But I was very pleasantly surprised by how much fun it was. And I would highly recommend giving it a download and spending a couple of hours playing Doom from 1993. I would highly recommend it.
I could yeah, we'll probably should stop because I can just keep talking about it. Because I should keep thinking of other things I love, like the animations, what they do with the 2D pixel art, and yet it's just incredible. Like the quality of the animations when you kill an imp and his head goes back and the blood comes up, and then he kind of crumbles to the floor, and just like all in like 5 frames, and yet it's still super evocative, and just looks...
the sound. That's where the sound design is good. Like
so
music
insane.
aside, the sound effects for how things die, how the guns go off, all of it is super satisfying. Even all these decades after it came out, it still feels good now.
I hope you stick with it, Rob, and then you go into Doom 2 as well, because I think Doom 2 is kind of like is even better.
Very well, like just carry on into the next chapter.
Just do it. Just keep going.
I wanted to at least get the first chapter done because then I feel that was me giving the game a fair cop. Considering we didn't settle on this until Thursday just gone, so this was only 2 or 3 days ago as of recording this. It's because we weren't aware that our game choice was going to be taken away. It took us a little bit to come to a consensus on which one we wanted to cover in its place. So I thought one chapter or one like group of missions I thought was a fair assessment of it, but it's got me hooked in enough to want to see where I go next.
See, that's fascinating to me. Right? Are you aware of how the game was originally distributed on PC?
No.
So they gave away the first 2 chapters as shareware, and then you'd call them up, pay for the rest of the game, and they'd post it to you, right? So see what you're saying is you would have been calling them up and paying for them to post the game to you. So that's still, I love the fact that that's like evident in the design. The design being so good is that they knew what they had would hook people in and make you want more, and I think that is incredible that still holds up in 2021. That's incredible.
Depending on price point, I probably would have turned around. But obviously, that can be a little bit distorted because a modern gamer. At the time, I'm fairly certain I would have been rabid over it.
Yeah,
and wanting more of it.
Oh, it was groundbreaking. Oh, mate, 14-inch CRT monitor. I remember playing it on, playing through the night, sneaking to the PC when I know I should have been in bed. Having it on really low volume. Just sweaty gamer, mate, at age 11, just loving it, just like sneaking it in any time I could.
It's great,
incredible. So happy.
I remember seeing it in the first time I saw it was in a video game store, and I just remember it's one game where I think I can't imagine video games ever looking any better than this. It just looks so good, didn't it?
You're of the certain age, you're a kid, you see the gore, and you're just like, and the violence, and you're like, I have to have this. I have to have this. And I believe the first time I played it, it was the shareware. I'm pretty sure I didn't have the full game, so I just remember playing those first 2 bits over and over, first 2 chapters over and over and over and over and over, and just basically memorizing them, trying to find every secret, trying to get 100% kills, trying to beat the par time, because I believe the par time is still on that first game, that they've got like the time to beat, and I love that, like that competitive nature. And then of course there was the multiplayer as well, which back then was very very basic, but still I think it was like 4-player, all against all kind of multiplayer on the maps and stuff, and even that, when I first played that, I think it might have been years later, like at school, I was just like, this game just keeps getting better. How can this game be so good?
I do believe that the multiplayer function is still available on the Xbox.
Oh, is that in part of the sport? Oh, we might have to give it a go.
Getting kills and death matches, because I did have a look at the achievements list.
Sure.
The first chapter constitutes 75G.
That's surprising. Yeah, it's quite tight on the achievements.
Yeah. So I would highly recommend going through it, because it could be a nifty little source. There are only 19 achievements in the game.
Okay, maybe we'll do that. That might be fun. Any excuse to play Doom, mate. I'm down.
I say for yourself, probably a couple of hours work to get 1000G.
Yeah, I haven't played as mostly with this particular new port that's come out. I've mostly checked out the mods. I haven't really played the main game as much, because I'd already done it because they brought it out as a port on the 360, and that was backwards compatible. So that's what I was playing. That's where I've checked it out since the new generation. But now this one, they've done some nice work with this port. I think they've done some good job, and they took on a lot of player feedback. And originally you had to like link it to your Bethesda account, and they took all of that out and stuff, and they've really listened and stuff. Though I'm not sure why that would be a big problem for people, but anyway, you know what people are like nowadays.
This week was a big week in other ways. We had the release of the first Xbox branded wireless headset.
Well, before we do that, and I am excited to talk about that as well, we need to pick for next time.
Oh yeah, I'd forgotten about that bit.
We need to pick for next time, and I think it's well, I would say it was my turn, but I kind of picked this one. I when Rob had his moment, I was like, well, here's a short list of mine.
Yeah.
What do you think of these? And he picked Doom from that, so I'm happy to defer to someone else because I've just got Doom out of it, and I'm just good now, so forever. So.
Well, Rob, you've kind of missed your turn then. Do you want to pick another?
Well, I think he was having a really hard time, so...
The games that had just been added to Game Pass were all huge, and I wanted to play them, and the time constraints we were operating under meant that there was no way that was going to happen. So, by all means, Richard, you take your pick. I chose from a list. Ben gave about 4 different ones, and I chose from that.
So if I were to try to throw something out there, right? Because it's new on, and I don't think either of you have played it.
I know what you're going to say.
I'm going to say Undertale.
Oh.
But because I think it's a really fascinating little game, and I've not played a lot of it. I've only played a little bit of it from a few years ago. I'd be willing to dive into it more. Have either of you played it?
I've seen it. It's a fan of its aesthetic and function.
No, I know, but that's very intentional, and it will make a lot of sense when you start playing it, and it's part of its charm. But you got other suggestions? Go for it.
Well, I'm thinking of a little game called Doom 2.
You have to complete Doom. We have to complete Doom first, and then we get to go on to Doom 2. Then we'll do Doom 3.
The Gamepass Club?
I'm down! I literally did this before Eternal came out. I did a video feature where I covered Doom 1, Doom 2, Doom 3, Doom 2016, and then an hour of each, and then Doom Eternal. So I did all that already like a year ago, but I'm happy to do it again. So you just tell me. Always happy. But no, really. Richard, any other ideas?
The first thing that came to mind was Dead Space 2. We talked about it before.
I just feel like Rob would really hate us making him play that.
Yeah, I know.
We need to do a thing, me and you, with Dead Space. All of them. Me and you. Just me and you, Richard. Like, we'll do that. We keep talking about it, and we need to do that. But let's find something we can all... So Undertale's my left field one.
I think you should pick Undertale next time when it's your turn.
The problem is, right, there's literally, by the time it comes around to me again, there'll be loads more. Like, this is Game Pass. Like, there's always so much, like, we were just talking about it, like, so much. Like, the other one I'd go, it's coming out this week, coming up, so we'd have time. Octopath Traveler. Like, for me, that's...
what I thought you were going to say.
Oh, but it's not actually out yet, so it's kind of like, it's quite tricky. That is this week, but, yeah.
That's what, in a couple of days?
True.
So it's something we could turn around and do. I would not be adverse to Octopath Traveler.
I think Richard's not enamoured with that one.
I'm not feeling that. It's too big.
It is big. It's a big investment.
That's a fair point.
Well, I mean, yeah, Outriders is too far off as the 1st of April. Maybe we could do that for the next one, like, because that's new and coming straight in.
Outriders would be a good one.
But that's not out for... like 10 days or so it'd be a bit tight for the next show. We could do, though, if we all committed to getting it on day one and trying to put some time in together or something, but...
I should have come prepared for this. Didn't think it'd be my turn today. Maybe we should just announce it on the Twitter feed.
Yeah, okay. All right, we'll do that. Yeah. We'll overthink. If anybody's got any suggestions as well, and then we'll announce what we're doing, and it'll be a surprise. But do come in with some suggestions. I know we have one viewer / listener who always suggests Subnautica, and I suspect they would do that again if asked.
You have to do this and play Subnautica, Ben.
I think if it's definitely going to have to be considered. Yes, I don't hate it. I've just already put in a fair bit of time in it. And Richard's already 1,000 games scored it, which is the problem for Richard. He only wants to do games he can get bloody achievements out of. Oh, it's funny. But yeah,
I did play it properly, ages ago, and then went back to it for the gamer score. So that's not why I played it, but yeah, from both angles, I've kind of done that to death now.
Okay, we'll announce at a future date this coming week what we're doing for 2 weeks in 2 weeks' time for the next Game Pass. All right, we'll have a think amongst ourselves and see if any of you guys come up with any suggestions. Do tweet us. and we will consider. Okay.
For those of you who don't have Twitter, we'll probably mention it next week as well on our weekly podcast.
Yeah, or you know,
Yeah.
YouTube comment or whatever to reach out and stuff. Yeah, but we'll let you.
If you want to suggest Dead Space 2, then that wouldn't be a problem.
You just want to torture him, don't you? You're so mean. You're so mean. He gets scared. He lives by himself. He'd be all like scaredy. You won't like it.
That is the point of the game, to be fair, though, isn't it? That's what it's for.
And then a cat jumps up and he shits himself or something. You know, we don't need that.
No, I don't like gory horror.
It's definitely that. There's a scene in which you watch a needle pierce a man's eye. It's
I know.
Very upsetting. So talking about things that are very upsetting is the fact that some headsets of a similar quality to this new official one from Microsoft are basically twice the price. Even though this is incredibly good at 90 quid. See, I think I worked that really well, Rob. Was that good? Yeah, you were impressed, weren't you? I can tell that was impressive, even by my standards. I'm happy with myself there.
I took my hat to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So I got one of these new. By the way, I bought this. Just FYI, Microsoft didn't send it to me. I bought this with my own money. £90 off of Amazon, in which they left it on my doorstep in the rain. Thanks, guys. Thankfully, it was fine. But yeah, so this is the new official, all the bells and whistles, kind of high-end headset from Microsoft, and I'm really impressed. Like, I'm really, really, really impressed. Now, I'm a bit of an audiophile, especially when it comes to gaming and music. And I buy headphones and headsets like they're going to disappear. Like, especially ones that have really good reviews and are at reasonable prices. It's like, I like to see where the technology is going and what can be done at more competitive price points, because we all know if we go and buy a B&O £300 headset, it's going to blow the shit out of everything, right? Because of course you're paying £300, but this is 90 quid, which is about half the price of the comparative headsets on the market from the big manufacturers, such as like Corsair or Razer or HyperX, or I could go on. There's loads of them. Turtle Beach and Steel Series, blah blah blah. But like Richard, I have a thing for official accessories. We do love our Microsoft stuff, me and Richard. And I was really curious to see how good this was. I can't stress enough. Like, one thing I really liked was the ability to alter the bass level using the accessories app and bump that up a bit, so that my gunshots and like footsteps and things like that were a bit more resonant and a bit easier to pick out, which really makes a difference in gameplay. From a comfort factor, very, very squidgy, if I can show it. Very, very squidgy ear cups. Very, very nice. Soft, like memory foam type stuff. I barely notice it's on. Nice and lightweight, because sometimes you get these headsets and they're bloody heavy. Lucid Sound is guilty for that. They're very high build quality, but very, very heavy. Where these are nice and light. Very padded on the strap. Very squishy up here as well, which is what we like. Nice and adjustable. Good sizes for all sized heads, I'd imagine. The Lucid Sound does this as well. The on-ear cap adjustable levels for the mic and for the in-game audio, or any audio on both sides respectively. One thing I like on this side on the left is that this one, which is the in-game audio, actually has like a middle point stop, so you can feel when you're at the center balance right in the middle, so you have an idea from just tactile feedback if you're pushing it one way or the other, in extremes, which is really nice. Whereas the volume is just a free roller, but it has a nice, you probably can hear that, nice satisfying clip when you get to the end. So either all the way down or all the way up, and it has a stop point. It doesn't just roll. And that's the thing I think I had with the Lucid Sound ones. They just kept going, and there was no like physical feedback as to what you were doing. So that's just a nice little QOL thing, really nice. Let's talk about the microphone. Really nice microphone. So it sort of just tucks up. So it's not super tight or anything. It's got a nice little bit of tension to it. And it then just retains the position without feeling like stiff, but also stiff enough that it holds wherever you position it to your mouth. Haven't done any kind of in-game chat with it yet, but I have like checked some of the like response levels and stuff and done some testing with that, and it seems like good isolation and stuff. But I'd be curious to get your feedback. We should do some gaming at some point. Tested it playing Destiny. Tested this playing also listening to music on Spotify, because you compare it obviously directly with your Xbox, which is one of the easiest things I've ever done for a wireless headset. Right, so no cables, no even ports for cables as an option. It does pair directly with the console without any any need for any dongles or anything like that, which is really nice. And it just works instantly. Turn on my Xbox, turn this on. This was immediately trying to pair, hit the pair button on the Xbox, paired it. There you go, done.
Which batteries does it take?
Doesn't take batteries, rechargeable. Plugs in, use USB-C plug-in, connected to your console, connected to wherever, charges. They say about 15 hours, which is on the lower end when you look at these headsets, but I'm guessing some concessions had to be made for the price point, which probably one of them was not a 40-hour battery capacity, which is what you will sometimes see on these headsets. However, I used it, for a good long session, didn't have any issues. So if you're kind of like, a normal average gamer, at the most an 8-hour session, what you're going to probably do is just plug it in afterwards, and then it'll be ready for you the next time. I don't think anybody needs 40 hours of charge, unless you're kind of superhuman, which is going to somehow play 40 hours of gaming without stopping. I don't know who does that. No, I'm too old for that. 2 hours is a lot for me. So 40 hours. Rob's just disgusting blob man.
Wow.
Whatever else, what other else stuff can I mention? Like
cushion,
I said,
what's the cushion fabric like?
Very nice, very soft. This is why headset reviews are really difficult to do in a video/podcast format. It's like, how do I show this? I mean, all I can do is show you that again on the camera. It's nice, a good cushion level, good depth. Trying to get this in frame here. Nope, that's the wrong way. No, there we go. Good.
I'm guessing it's kind of
memory foamy.
Which is
no, it's got a kind of
like these
faux leather vibe to it.
Wear off after a bit. You see how mine's all flaky.
Yeah, I can see that. That's gonna just require use. I'll have to come back to you in a year's time and tell you what the kind of longevity of it. It feels high quality though. The whole thing has a solid feel to it. It doesn't feel like it's gonna break. You know how sometimes you get headsets and the headband feels weak, and there are elements of it that feel like where it extends here. You feel like these are gonna be a bit flaky, but they're very robust actually. You can see there's a good width to them. Even on the extension, so that's really nice. It's nicely branded, but it's quite subtle. There's a little bit of green accenting, and the logo in shiny black here on the matte surface. However, it doesn't feel like egregiously over the top. That's one of the things I don't like about a lot of gaming headsets. They've got fucking lights on them and stupid designs, and they're ostentatious, and it's just like
that's what I like about the Lucid Sound ones. That they look like a quality product. They don't look cheap and plasticky.
No, absolutely. And look, I'm not going to lie, this is more plasticky than a Lucid Sound, right? They're metal, and
but it doesn't look it. It does look stylish.
I think it's a lovely design. I think it's really nice. It's that nice middle ground, and that's what it kind of is. It feels like, I think it feels more like a mid-tier headset. Definitely nicer than the cheaper 3.5 to 3.5, basic 20 quid ones. It's definitely higher than that. But it isn't a £200 headset either in its build quality. It's in the middle, matches the price point. But the most important thing is the audio, I think, is definitely hitting above that. The fact that it works, it has been obviously very carefully designed to take advantage predominantly of Windows Sonic, which is the sort of inbuilt Xbox friendly sort of 5.1 fake headset sort of ability that the Xboxes have, and then you don't have to pay for that. It's just built in, and it really uses that well. I don't have Dolby DTS to test on my Xbox. I never bothered buying that, but because I think Windows Sonic actually does a really good job. I think PCs also use that now as well, as like the built-in sort of faux 5.1 ability for the headset specifically, and it sounded great. The bass for me was really surprising. It wasn't just booming heavy tones. It was actually nicely defined and felt very responsive and very accurate. And even in the mid-tones as well, I found the audio was very accurate and very clear, which is obviously very important for a gaming headset. And then I was really surprised when I started listening to Spotify, because like I mentioned, you can pair it with your phone as well as the Xbox, so you can do a Bluetooth pairing as well. And then I was like, man, the music sounds really good too. It even works for that. And I was quite impressed that there wasn't an area that it obviously fell down in. It really did it does punch above what you'd expect for 90 quid.
It's got Bluetooth pairing as well.
Yeah, so it pairs directly with the Xbox, but also has Bluetooth pairing, which means you could pair it with your PC, you could pair it with your phone, whatever you want, really.
Wow.
They've got a lot of features in here, and it is, it's simplicity personified. There's one button, you've got the ear cup, volume modulators, you got the, the mic, and that which tucks away and was barely noticeable if you're not using it. The mic actually has a nice light on it, which you can choose the brightness using the accessories app, and that'll tell you if you've got it muted or not. But it's not like egregious, but so you kind of look in the direction, you can see if you're muted or not, that kind of thing. If you're going to be using that sort of feature a lot, there's a mute button on the base of the mic, so you can just manually toggle that as well. The other thing that I really liked is, you got the audio sliders on the Xbox when you're doing the software levels. You know those, Richard? Yeah. So when you move the ear cups, it moves the slider, so you can visually see the levels you've chosen using the hardware, because it is so tied in to the Xbox OS. It does that, and I've not seen any other headset do that. And while you might go, I know I was talking to Rob about this, he kind of shrugged and went, "Well, yeah, it's official, isn't it?" I was like, "Yeah, but nobody else does it," as far as I know. So I was quite impressed with that little just tied in functionality. So any questions? Any other sort of bits? Can it be
back in stock yet, please?
Yeah, they do keep going out, and I keep getting notifications. Amazon keep getting them and keep selling out. So just keep an eye out. I think they will be around again, but it's it's the value and the quality, and the reviews have been, like me, everywhere, very positive. Yeah. So I think everybody kind of wants one for their Series X and S now. I kind of wish I had two. I might have to get another one for my office and one for my living room, because I'm mad like that.
I'm thinking we at Xbox in it, #Xbox, if they'd like to send us a demo one for another review. Yes. I will happily take it off their hands.
Richard, I know you're into your audio. You got any other questions about this sort of stuff? I know you like this sort of thing.
I don't think I've got any questions, but it has started me thinking about whether I need to get another headset now, because I will have. Well, I don't need another Xbox One. I've just got a Lucid Sound one, and I'm just really surprised at how much is packed into that, because I paid quite a premium to get one that had Bluetooth audio as well as Xbox support.
Surprising,
isn't it?
It cost
£250 for mine.
Yeah.
And there's only that one model in the Lucid Sound range, at least, that does it. You've got to pay that amount to get it. So if you can get it for £90 in the official one, that's incredible value.
Yeah, I think areas that they've shaved cost is the battery life, is that the mic, while adjustable, isn't retractable or removable. I know you sometimes see on the high-end the headsets where they literally will go back into the ear cup, or you can completely remove it. I actually don't like the ones you can completely remove, because you've got another failure point of connection there. So I think that's not necessarily a good idea, because those 3.5 connectors that you get with those fail like all the time. That port. It's just always temperamental. So actually removing that, I'm happy about. But yeah, it's not retractable. It does fold up discreetly, so it's not there always in your way or in your eye line or something like that if you just want to play by yourself. But yeah, battery life has got to be the main thing. They've not put in a huge capacity lithium-ion battery in there to last 40 hours. And I guess that will be an issue for some people, that if you forget to charge it. That's the thing to bear in mind, right? So you've not got a manual option on this. So if you don't charge it and you want to play, you can't just plug it in and use that, basic redundancy. So there is no 3.5 connector on here. There's no port. Just double checking before I say that. No, there is no port. You've only got the USB-C charging port. So that's worth knowing about. But again, that level of old school manual redundancy, the 3.5mm port, that's the problem I was having. That connector is poor. Those ports in the controllers are poor. They don't ever seem to give them the kind of robust love that maybe they need, because you're in and out of that port, and either the port goes or the cable goes, one or the other. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to miss that, but only more like extensive use will tell. I mean, it's a case of it's fully charged right now. It'd be interesting to see if I don't use it for 2 weeks or whatever. Will it retain the charge? Is it going to have no charge or much less charge when I turn it on? That kind of thing. So I'll find that out when I'm using it more extensively and stuff. So, but initial impressions are very, very positive. Yeah, really, really nice sounding. Especially if you like it bass heavy, like I do.
I wonder how it compares to the PlayStation one, because their official one's about the same price point, and I think it's reviewed pretty well.
It's interesting to see, isn't it? You don't normally see it this way around. You don't normally see the first party ones of accessories being the cheaper option.
No.
It's normally the other way around. So I don't know what's going on with headset manufacturers and why they seem to take the piss with their pricing. I don't know why they've got so
you say
high.
That. It is mid-tier. I mean, there are far more expensive models, but
Like I said,
also far cheaper ones.
£300 B&O headphones are always, or whatever, or Bangs and Wilkes, or any of those. They're always going to be better. Like, you're going to have clearer tones, but you're getting to a point where, unless you're an audiophile, you're splitting hairs, aren't you? Or you're just looking at it as a status symbol. It's like, I consider myself fairly, mid-level audiophile, and I can definitely hear the differences. So I think this is incredibly good for what it is. Like, really is.
And let's face it, you're only listening to music on Doom anyway, so...
Yeah, exactly. And, but more importantly, this is designed... It's not designed to be walking around down the shops, That extra Bluetooth pairing this is a gaming headset for gaming. It's not designed to be something you should be wanting to hear your FLAC files at the highest possible resolution. You know what I mean? In audio terms, it's just not what it's made for. So yeah, I think it's incredibly good. Who else would like to talk about some of the games they've been playing this week? I don't know why I put on this little accent, but we'll just go with it.
In a surprise to no one, I've been playing Destiny 2.
And moving on.
Yeah, enough news. Water is wet.
Yeah.
I dabbled a little bit in Origins this week, Assassin's Creed Origins, and quickly got irritated by how fucking massive that map is. So I may just abandon Origins for a while. So I've done
too many things to do.
of...
Too much value and choice.
Basically, yes. I played a little bit of Starlink Battle for Atlas. That's one of the Toys to Life games that I've got.
Have you got the toys? I can't remember. You got a box of them,
they are on my desk. Because I was playing them during the week. I'm essentially trying to finish the game off to then gift the toys to a friends of mine's kid. Because he will get significantly more enjoyment out of them than I will. So the quicker I finish the game, the quicker I can give them to him now that lockdown is, ending in the vague future. I don't have to, professionally decontaminate everything before I gift something on. And Total War Warhammer 2 this week had a free LC character released called Rakarth the Beastmaster for one of the factions, voiced by Ramsay Bolton. He was the guy who voiced it. Ewan Ryan, I think his name was.
If anybody needs any context, the one that raped Sansa. There you go. Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, that's his character. Wasn't that his defining character moment? I'm pretty sure it was. But
I think he had many other defining character moments of varying other bits of cruelty. Yeah. But we can go with that one. That's fine.
I just think it's a weird. The only reason I said that is it seems like a weird voice actor to kind of tout. Oh yeah, we got Ramsay Bolton. Oh yeah, that one. Oh, is his character in Warhammer like a real psychopath, horrible character as well?
Yes.
Ah, right, there we go. All right, I wasn't sure. I was thinking for saying he could have been like a hero character. I don't know. I don't know anything about Warhammer.
It's a legendary lord, but the legendary lord in question uses a weapon called the Whip of Agony. So as you can tell, he's a delightful fellow down the pub.
That does sound like Ramsay Bolton. Yeah, sure. All right.
So yeah, I was dabbling a little bit in that. What about you guys? What you've been playing?
Superhero stuff. I've been playing a lot of Spider-Man.
I was about to say, is there any elaboration on superhero stuff?
Cool. Super low energy superhero stuff as well. Superhero stuff.
I kind of got into Spider-Man vibe because I was thinking, shall I spend £70 on Miles Morales and the Spider-Man upgrade? No, I won't, because I've already got all the content apart from the Miles Morales stuff. I'll just do that. And actually, it still looks good now. It's a few years old, but Spider-Man still looks really good. So I've 100%ed it. I've done all the DLC. I've got the Platinum Trophy, finished it. Wow. And now that temptation to buy the £70 version has gone.
Good.
I'm
excised it. Cleaned.
Yeah, it's all gone. And I've played so much Spider-Man, I'm not even tempted to spend 50 quid on Miles Morales. So I can just wait until that comes down to a reasonable price now. So that's worked out well. It's also led me on to going back to Arkham Knight, because I did finish that game, but there's so much left to do. All sorts of side quests and extra DLC that I never got round to. And I kind of got bored of it. I think 4 years ago I stopped playing it. And I thought, no, I don't think I am bored of that anymore. I'd quite like to go back now and just see how that compares to Spider-Man. And it's a weird comparison because I thought that the combat in Spider-Man wasn't quite as good, but actually it's a lot more freeform and fun to do. Going back to Arkham, it feels quite rigid, and it's a good combat system, but it's very stilted, rigid, inflexible, and difficult to get a combo going. Even if you mispress a button, you don't have to get hit. You just have to press guard when there's nothing to guard, and your combo is broken in Arkham. So it's very unforgiving of any mistakes at all. There's no flexibility there. So that was a bit disappointing to find, and I hope they fix that for the new Gotham Knight thing.
It fits because Batman is unforgiving of mistakes.
Also, he's rigid. I mean, in that, he's wearing a big armored suit, and it does make a certain kind of sense. But I think what it also does, it will draw the positives, wouldn't it, out of Spider-Man? That it's like, he's all flexible and flippy and webby and stuff. Yeah,
but it does kind of shine a light on, how I felt about Spider-Man was that it kind of ripped off the best things of Arkham, and I guess it does, but it definitely improves on them.
Hey, look, art, art, every kind of art feeds into it. Every movie, every game inspires the next ones. It's not necessarily anything bad about that, I guess. It's just, do you add to it? Do you improve upon it? And it sounds like Spider-Man does. So, to the only other thing, I mean, I've been dabbling with lots of PC games and obviously testing out this headset and stuff like that. But the other thing I dabbled in is I got it off of EA's, like, some of their PC games have been added to Gamepass, and I checked out the Command & Conquer Remaster, which is a remaster of the first Command & Conquer and the first Red Alert. And oh boy, first of all, it does this incredible thing, right? When you first load up the game, it gives you like a cutscene, and it's like this whole, I don't know, like fake computer interface about upgrading this, the game. It's like running graphical patch, and it's like dots and like modem and all this kind of like, and it does, and they're both different. For Command & Conquer and Red Alert have their own sort of thematically related fake updating sort of screens, and it's like, oh, this is so unnecessary. Whoever thought of this, though, brilliant. Love it. I want every remaster and every update and flipping Series X patch. They should all have these in-universe style kind of fake updating. And they're not short. They're good, like 3 minutes long each. So if you want to sit through this whole fake upgrade process, or you just hit escape.
Why?
I mean, but why? But why not? It's just so cool.
First booted the game only, perhaps.
Yeah, I think it only does come up when you first. It will only autoplay with the first time you load it. Yeah, and then and then it's like in the library of cutscenes, and you can go back and watch it if you want. But you're never gonna probably. But it's just really good fun. The first time I was really confused. I did Red Alert at first, and it's like this like really low res missiles on the screen, and it's like upgrading graphics. It's like, and then it goes from like the original like 300 by 300 or whatever resolution, and then it goes up from stages up to 4K, and it's just, this is fun. And it does the same with the audio. It's like plays this really bad MIDI sample, which it then cleans up and proceeds to like HDify, and it's just so stupid, but I loved it. It was so good. And then the games are the games, right? The games are exactly the same games, but they've done the same thing that they did with like the Master Chief Collection with the first Halo, or when they did it. Sorry, that was the anniversary edition of Combat Evolved, I believe, when they first did it. And yeah, you just hit, that was the back button, and this is the space bar, and you can just switch between the original look and graphics of the game and the new, and it's just, man, you think the jump from like Combat Evolved to night and day. It's mind-blowing. And it just goes from these muddy 4-pixel men to like proper art that you can sort of easily define and work out what's going on. And it's fantastic, the work they've done on that. And they're still great games, still great RTSs.
The video cutscenes, because that was a big deal for them.
So they've cleaned those up as well. Yeah, they at the time there was a lot.
They can't have shot them in any decent resolution though, can they?
But they've done some post processing on them, so they've cleaned them up a lot. So obviously they went back and they found the copies. Well, not exactly the originals. They found the most clean version possible. I believe it was associated with like a port of the game, which had higher quality source files than the actual files that they had from the PC version of the game. They were then able to do further work on them to clean them up and to like post-processing to make them look better. They're obviously not high resolution, but they also don't look like pixelated messes. So they've done incredible work with that. And there's actually loads of bonus features in the game. As you play through it, you unlock these videos about the making of it and what they did and how they did it, how they did the music, how they did the videos, the game, how they upgraded everything. So if you're interested in how the sausage is made, this is a great package for it. And like I said, Game Pass, I got it for free. I think it's like less than a tenner to buy anyway at the moment. I've seen it really cheap in places. So if you have, I know Rob, you for example have some nostalgia for old school RTSs. If you want to go back to the beginning, we're talking about doing a video with a related game at some point, two of us. But if you wanted to go back and have a look, it's really, really good. Like what they've done here, and you've got Game Pass, I'd recommend checking it out. And it's they're just great, and the whole thing about Command & Conquer with the FMV story cutscenes between the missions, it's so cheesy, but man, it just takes me back to a happier time, like that time of gaming, which was so much more sort of optimistic and less stressful. And it's just like the music in that, I've forgotten how good the music is in the CNC and Red Alert. Like those, just so many great themes, so many great music tracks. And so that's why I went and played, had a great time with that. I'm looking forward to digging in and playing some more CNC, old school RTS, man. Missed it. Anything else for anything else?
No, I think that brings us to the end of another week.
Indeed. You all good, Rich? You spent for another 2 weeks?
No, well, talking of spending, I'm now looking for a PS5 headset. You've got me on the want.
They're called like they're Pulse, aren't they? Like the Pulse headset or something.
Pulse 3D headsets. Yeah.
Well, look, Sony, known for audio, so I'd expect that headset to be really good, honestly. So if it's not, I'd be very surprised, considering how good their headsets usually are. So good luck in your hunt. But I think, yes, as Rob has said, we've come to the end of another episode of Experience Kills. That was episode 22. With me today has been Rob. You can find him at Twitter at Homeless Mr. Gibbs. Richard has also been here, and you can find him at Colonel Red, and myself you can find at DIYE on the Twitter sphere. In general, as a collective, as a multimedia conglomerate, you can find us at Experience Kills on Twitter. Yeah, am I bigging us up enough there, guys? You feeling that?
Conglomerate.
Yeah, why not? We've got different things going on. We conglomerate things. I don't even know exactly what that means, but let's go with it. In addition, if you've watched this on YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe, and even hit that weird little bell notification thing. That means you get told when a new video comes up, because we've got videos coming up all the time. And if you aren't able to watch us on YouTube, you can find us anywhere. I do mean anywhere. If you find somewhere that we are not available as a podcast, tell me, and I'll make that happen. I can do that for you. So let me know. We are available all the podcast places, including your smart devices, which is mind-blowing to me, still to this day that we can do that.
Which device exactly?
I'm not going to do it. Every time you try and get me, every time. And I've learned this trick. But yeah, you can find us all over. Expect lots more coming very soon, because we've got the tech to pull it off now, and it's going to be coming. We're going to be doing streams. I've done some test streaming. I'm going to be streaming stuff that's happening in the next week or two. I know that's happening. Might even see Nintendo Switch stuff. Ooh, exciting. Coming soon to the channel. So until next time, have a lovely week, and enjoy the world as best as you can. And we'll be back very soon with more Experience Kills. Goodbye.
Ta-ta for now.